Caitlin Clark is the only woman in basketball to ever sign with Wilson Basketball, and she's the only athlete since Michael Jordan to do so.
If we're comparing a Caitlin Clark signature shoe release to anybody not named Michael Jordan, anybody not named LeBron James, you're being extremely disingenuous.
You won't believe what just came out, basketball fans, and how it will totally upend Nike's multi-billion-dollar enterprise. The execs at Nike headquarters are genuinely sweating bullets over this tectonic upheaval. You are currently the most valuable sports brand in the world, with a valuation of over $200 billion. And you just got what everyone is referring to as women's basketball's Michael Jordan of the future. With Caitlin Clark committed to an 8-year, $28 million contract, you are essentially robbing her of her true value. Thinking that you have the golden goose that will provide income for the ensuing 10 years, you're sitting good. However, Wilson, of all companies, just released a commercial that is so flawless and emotionally compelling that it is forcing Nike's whole marketing team to reevaluate their life decisions.
When you strip away the noise and the bright lights, it's just the game you loved as a kid.
Chant of defense by the Clark fans.
This is the worst part. Instead of shoes, they used basketballs for this. However, the influence is poised to transform everything. Allow us to illustrate Nike's current predicament for you. In recent years, Nike has completely collapsed. We are discussing a business that has seen a value decline of more than $1 billion since 2021. People were actually demanding that their CEO be sacked because things had gotten so disastrously terrible. And you know what? He had to resign. Nike was mired in their own errors, while Adidas was prospering despite terminating their connection with Yeezy. It is anticipated that Nike's third-quarter revenue will drop 11.5% to $11 billion. It would be the largest reduction since Nike's 38% drop during the pandemic in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2020, according to data provided by LSG. Nike started an ambitious comeback under Hill. 1 or 2 stylish new designs, however, won't be sufficient to get the sportswear behemoth back on track for sales growth, according to Morningstar analyst David Schwartz. It must develop an entirely new franchise, such as a line of goods that generate billions of dollars in sales. That takes years, according to Sort. However, Caitlin Clark, the generational genius that only comes around maybe once every 10 years, saved them. In college, the individual in question was twice as recognizable as Angel Ree. For times as well-liked as the most well-known male athlete. That is completely unheard of in the history of collegiate basketball. Every big brand threw money at her when she became a professional. She was to be the face of the Curry brand, according to Under Armour. Adidas was prepared to spend a fortune, but she chose to stick with Nike due to their college marketing strategy. Everyone was anticipating the release of her signature shoe, the one that would permanently alter women's basketball. This is where things start to get completely crazy, though. Nike declares that AJ Wilson will receive her trademark shoe first, while everyone else waits for Caitlin's sneaker. A tidbit that should have infuriated every Nike shareholder was concealed within that announcement. According to them, Caitlin's shoe wouldn't be available for purchase until 2026 or possibly 2027.
People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call, putting to rest any rumors that A, this wasn't a done deal, and B, there are renegotiations at the table. Something that this did clear up as well is looking like Caitlin Clark's shoe is coming in 2026.
Do you mean me? A shoe for 2 to 3 years? Allow me to explain how absurd this is. Nike was so desperate to sign LeBron James in 2003 when he was being courted by all the big brands that they began designing his shoe before he had even signed. To keep it under wraps, they adopted the code name Air Zoom Nobel LeBron backwards. 3 months from idea to his feet, LeBron was sporting the LeBron ones for his NBA debut.
If we're comparing a Caitlin Clark signature shoe release to anybody not named Michael Jordan, anybody not named LeBron James, you're being extremely disingenuous. Extremely disingenuous. We can't compare abnormality to normal behaviors. We can't compare the extreme case, the rarest of the rare case, to an average Joe Schmo walking down the street singing do I did it dum diddy do. We can't be doing that. We only compare Clark to Jordan, Clark to James, Clark to Tiger, Clark to Gretzky, Clark to Ali. That's it.
Nike changed their timeline from 3 months to 3 years. There is a serious problem here, and it will soon be revealed in the most embarrassing way imaginable. Major newspapers ran headlines wondering why people were upset about Caitlin landing a shoe contract when she signed it. The dispute. Given that Clark had not yet participated in a WNBA game, some fans contended that A.A. Wilson ought to have received her shoe before Clark. Here's the problem, though. Fairness isn't important in business. It's about what generates revenue. Tim Duncan was outsold in them by Allen Iverson. Shoes, even if Duncan is the superior athlete. Due of low sales, Nike terminated both of their Tim Duncan shoe attempts. And what do you know? Tim Duncan understood business, so he didn't give a damn. However, Tim Duncan is not Aya Wilson. Nike is actively promoting her by having her appear in ads and on billboards. This is where things start to become somewhat awkward. She has said several dubious things regarding white players' privilege. Speaking about Paige Buchers, she stated that her luxury drove the athlete's success, adding almost as an afterthought that she is undoubtedly a talented basketball player.
Women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say it's not really about me. And she knows how her privilege got her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. Like, she understands her privilege and like pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you.
The roster for Team USA at the Olympics did not include Caitlin. The formal explanation for why she hasn't yet earned it. When Christian Laettner was added to the 1992 Olympic Dream Squad, he had no prior NBA experience. Caitlin Clark isn't making this one, though. Diana Taurasi, who had comparable numbers to Clark at the time, was a WNBA rookie when she was selected for the 2004 Olympics. However, 20 years later, Caitlin Clark still falls short. However, as a rookie, she went on to dominate. All WNBA first team, top rookie in several categories, fourth in MVP voting, and WNBA viewership transformation all at once hurt. Regular WNBA games receive 300,000 viewers, whereas games average over 1 million. Her first playoff game ticket was more expensive than all the other WNBA playoff games put together. In order to accommodate the large number of people who came to see her, the Washington Mystics had to relocate to the Wizards Arena. Everywhere she played, she broke attendance records for the WNBA. In the end, even Team USA acknowledged that it was a mistake to leave her off the squad. Nike, however, is still holding their hands because they are too afraid to release their most marketable athlete. Everything changed when Wilson released their commercial. This commercial isn't your typical one. Nike's latest attempts are compared to Amateur Hour in this masterful display of emotive storytelling. That lovely message opens the commercial. It's just the game you enjoyed as a child when the bright lights and sounds are removed. Boom. Directly within the fields. Wilson steps in and encapsulates the fundamental reason we fell in love with basketball in the first place, while Nike is unable to effectively sell their biggest star due to political paralysis. Feet on the hardwood, basketball in hand, guiding you, inspiring you, working on the player you dream to be, the commercial goes on, adding that the ball will always take you back to your favorite spot. Composed, determined, and self-assured. This marketing is brilliant. They're not attempting to negotiate cultural politics or sell shoes. Dreams, nostalgia, and the unadulterated love of the game are what they are selling. And who is the spokesperson for this ideal message? Nike is also a player, Caitlin Clark. Afraid to advertise effectively. Here's what, though, makes this really disastrous for Nike. Caitlin Clark became the only female basketball player to sign with Wilson. And she has this kind of cooperation with them, making her the only athlete since Michael Jordan. Take a moment to consider that. They are placing her in the same discourse as Michael Jackson. The final sentence of the ad, Caitlin, always basketball, is so flawless that it will torment Nike's marketing team for years to come. Wilson just positioned themselves as the genuine basketball brand that prioritizes the game over all else, while Nike sits on their hands worrying about social media reaction. Additionally, the basketballs themselves are messages rather than merely goods. Wilson's crew studied every aspect of Caitlyn for months, including her interests, favorite color, and what she would be if she weren't a basketball star. They even kept an eye on her dress choices and social media accounts. She is being treated like the superstar that she is. Conversely, Nike views her as a political liability. Wilson's senior director of worldwide production, Christopher Rickard, stated that the team started with 50 design concepts and narrowed them down. The color wasn't always correct. The pattern didn't always work. There were instances when a brilliant idea didn't quite work out in practice. The reception to the commercial, which debuted alongside a brand new basketball line scheduled for June 23rd, has been nothing short of spectacular. Basketball fans are lauding Wilson for concentrating on the game rather than getting sucked into cultural politics, calling it the best basketball advertisement in years.
From the sounds of this interview, it seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in EuroLeague than she did during this WNBA season. The commissioner told her that she could make $700,000 playing in the WNBA.
Conversely, Nike's silence over their biggest female basketball star is become increasingly deafening. They watch as Wilson uses basketballs to communicate the message their player is too afraid to tell with shoes, creating the ideal marketing campaign. This is the result of choosing fear over talent and marketability when making business decisions. Caitlin Clark was signed by Nike for a total of $28 million over 8 years. For someone who has already demonstrated that she can make a difference unlike any other female basketball player in history, it is a complete steal. However, they're allowing a basketball firm to steal their ideas because they're so terrified of the possible blowback. The irony is heartbreaking. Nike's success was based on athletes who did more than just play sports. LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and Michael Jordan. These were more than just outstanding athletes. These cultural factors altered our perspective on sports marketing. That same fabric is used to make Caitlin Clark. However, Nike is too preoccupied with handling internal affairs to see the opportunity. However, Wilson, who they're sitting on, can see exactly what they have. With Caitlin Clark, they are doing more than just creating basketballs. They are expressing their commitment to sincerity, prioritizing the game, and appreciating excellence regardless of Twitter's opinion. The scariest part for Nike comes next. This commercial is flawless marketing, not just good marketing. It highlights all of Caitlin Clark's unique qualities without becoming mired in controversy. It honors her passion for the game, her genuineness, and her capacity to motivate upcoming players. It has amazing production value. When you watch this commercial, you don't think about politics or controversy, but the message is universal and the emotional impact is unmistakable. You consider the reasons for your passion for basketball. That is the power of effective marketing, and Nike ought to have been using their top women's basketball player to achieve just that. Rather, they are watching from the sidelines while Wilson demonstrates how to accomplish it. Millions of people have watched the ad, shared it on all social media sites, and both marketing professionals and basketball enthusiasts have appreciated it.